In order to better understand this country, every American should have to work 3 days doing immigrant labor, or what used to be called slave labor. And you can still call it that if you like. People don't understand what these people do. They don't understand how hard they work for the little money they get. I'll tell you straight up, when I was 9, 10 years old, we were poor and we needed money, and I went and worked in a strawberry field in Ontario, California, Southern California. I worked in a strawberry field, and I was picking strawberries next to a skilled laborer, and it was an older woman, and she was killing it. It was the hardest work I'd ever done. It was terrible. And we got paid by the pound. As a 9 or 10 year, I can't remember how old I was. As a 9 or 10 year old, I quit at lunch. I was done. And instead, it was just easier to go and pick up liquor bottles in the alley and take them in for recycling. It was so much easier. It was so hard working out there in the summer in that heat, picking freaking strawberries, man. So did I work 3 days? Nah, man. Maybe you only need 6 hours. Like me, all I needed was about 5-6 hours, and I knew, And it's funny because there's this big issue going on right now about cancel culture. The biggest cancel culture is erasing the value of slaves, of immigrants, of people who are less than, right? That is the biggest cancel culture out right now. It's fun. I just got through I watch older movies with my son, so he has a better understanding of cinema. Not just, green screen, big explosions, Marvel superhero movies. He could be of that. I don't want him to just be of that. I want him to be broader. So we watched the movie Glory. Fantastic. And when I went to look if it was on the IMDb top 100 or 250 list, it's gone. Glory is not there. And it just goes to speak to how it is a political maneuver, a social maneuver to erase glory or erase the value of slaves to this country, of immigrants now to this country. It's all tied together. And if people knew what it took for them to have the comfort of eating fruit, buying their fruit from Wegmans or Food Lion or wherever the hell you buy it from, if they understood what that took, they would have a different opinion about all of this. Furthermore, if they understood what this country is built on, whether it be slaves, Chinese, Scottish, Irish, women, if they understood what this country was built on, then they wouldn't think this way. But look, this critical race theory shit, it's political. It's a way to move the minds, right? I know you knew it was political, but do you understand what's going on here? It's a way to move people's minds. It's a way to move how you think, right? Critical race theory coincides with Glory not being in the top 100. You could have Toy Story 2 in the top 100, but you better not put Glory there. And don't tell me the world didn't know about Glory, or the country doesn't know about the movie Glory, because it won Academy Awards when it came out, right? So, it almost sounds like a joke to say that America should work as a laborer or doing slave labor or doing immigrant labor. It almost sounds like a joke. It's not a joke. I'm not joking. I am dead on serious. Americans should do that. They won't. It'll never happen, right? Because you can't just make people go do something like that. But maybe even more important than that, I don't know that, especially in red states, that they would want people having that knowledge. If people held the knowledge of what immigrant labor is, of what slave labor is, they're not voting the way they vote. They're not letting this single issue move them. They're not letting the immigration issue move them. And I know that red states ain't going for that shit. Not because it's necessarily wrong, but but because they know it's not politically advantageous. Yeah, you know, I was just watching TV and I saw what was going on in Los Angeles. They went and raided a marijuana farm. And the people pushed back and everything. But, you know, if the guys who were raiding the farm actually had to do that work, you know, at some point in their life, they had an idea of what that work took, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't be a part of that shit. You know, there's a reason why they ask 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds to go into the military and sacrifice yourself for the country. There's a reason why they do it. I'm 48. You can't just tell me to go in somewhere and kill somebody. I'm going to stop. I'm going to look at the news. I'm going to gather an understanding of what's going on. I'm going to look at the political situation in the place that I am supposed to be going to kill people. And I'm going to make a decision. And you just can't tell me to do some shit. You know, when you're younger, 18, 19 years old, right? It's that football mentality. Coach says, hey man, put on this helmet and ram your head into that locker. A bunch of kids are going to put on that helmet and ram their head into the locker. And whoever makes the biggest dent in the locker is going to win. If there's anything to win, they're going to win, right? If it's just amongst themselves, it's bragging rights. I made the biggest dent in the locker. You ask me to go and run my head into a locker, I'm going to say, hey man, why? What the fuck I'm going to do that for? You know, there's a reason why they have young people go and do stuff like that. You know, because young people haven't lived enough to know better. That is what the red states don't want you to have. They don't want you to have the quote unquote know better. They want you to stay right where you are, right in that little pocket. Right? You come out of that pocket, you might vote blue. That's a problem. You know? So, yeah, man, I'm watching what's going on the news right now. You know, and I got to say this too. To all my Latino and Latina brothers and sisters. You know, it would help if you tried to understand the country a little bit. You come over here and you take a position that effectively kisses white male ass. You know, you think that's gonna move you up, and you don't get it. This country acknowledges that we need you. We need a bunch of you. I think we acknowledge that. It's not explicit, it's implicit, and it's not polite, but we do acknowledge that. But you have to give a shit about where you are. Not just not about you. Not just giving a shit about you. Give a shit about where you are. You know, you think loving this country is effectively who could yell USA, USA the loudest. Who could wrap themselves in the biggest American flag. Right? Who could yell, I love such and such political nominee the loudest. That's what you think being American is. And you guys, man, y'all got to understand. I'm not saying all of you. I'm just saying a bunch of y'all got to understand. You guys need to go and research the history of this country. Because when black people fought or marched, often died behind certain things, everyone won. The biggest beneficiary of affirmative action was women. White women. They were the biggest beneficiary of affirmative action. You know, and you guys need to understand that when black folks did stuff, for example, just take this last election. When black folks voted for Kamala Harris, it helped you. You voted to fuck yourselves. You know, and if anyone is saying, well, how come they're not out, you know, looking out for us right now? Yo, man, the numbers don't say anyone should be looking out for you right now. The numbers say that you have to work out something in your own community. You got an issue in your own community that you need to work out. You hear me on here saying that Americans should work, I said, 3 days. Man, 8 hours. It ain't going to take but 8 hours. I guarantee you it won't take but 8 hours. In 8 hours, you will know. You go do immigrant or slave labor for 8 hours, you will know that we need these people. If you still want the comfort in your life, we need these people. All it's going to take is 8. It might take less for a bunch of you. You know, but you hear me on here saying that. When I say that, I'm saying that to help you. I'm saying that as in respect to my ancestors. You know, who put in hundreds of years worth of work and got shit from it. This country still don't acknowledge them. Right? It's still fighting right now to discredit and disregard my ancestors. That's what DEI, this push on DEI is. That's what that is. It's to erase what my people brought to this country. But it is also to acknowledge what many of you are contributing to this country. You know, and I'm just saying, man, know the place that you're moving to, that you're living in, and give a shit, man. You guys think you know. You don't know. You got no clue. You got no clue. Get a clue, man. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't have to tell you how I voted. This is what I will tell you, though. I voted for you. I voted against what's happening to you right now. I voted against the way the country is demonizing you right now. They may not take any action. ICE may never come get you. But this country is demonizing you and people who look like you right now. And I'm doing that because I have empathy. Because when I was 9 years old, I've been called a gang member. Trayvon Martin is my son's age right now. My son is the age Trayvon Martin was when he died. I know how they look at me. I ain't stupid. You don't know how they look at you. And you think you could get on your knees and pray to, you know, white Jesus to the point that they're not going to look at you like that anymore. And you're wrong. You're wrong. So yeah, man, I started this because, man, I'm watching what's going on and I'm seeing it and I'm just like, yo, Americans, if Americans did 3 days, and they get paid, but if they did 3 days doing immigration labor, they get it. But the way things are in this country right now, they're not going to do that. And therefore they won't get it. And therefore it will continue from now until the end of time. It will continue to be something that is going to sway 3, 4, 5% of the population to vote a particular way. They're going to be able to weaponize it. Anyway, y'all, this is Pure Uncut Politics. Please like and subscribe. I'll hit you next time.